You might be interested, Bill and Alan, that one of the really major discoveries I feel I've made in the last 3 years is, but as you both know, I've spent a lot of time going around the world looking at super healers, people who really have a track record. And I've been able to measure what comes off their hands when they do healing, particularly if it's laying on of hands healing. And every one of them that I've been able to measure on every continent puts out an 8 hertz ELF wave. And it was based on that I was able to develop the watch as I hate to use the word, but it's something that has a healing effect. In other words, it'll counter negative effects that you would get from being exposed to various frequencies of ELF.
Well, Andre, would this 8 hertz emission also affect the molecular structure of water?
Yes, that is something that was discovered, perhaps you remember it better than I, quite a while ago by some work done by Doug Dean. I think it was about 10 years ago. And another fellow in Atlanta, Georgia, you remember his name?
Oh, yeah, Robert Miller, a chemist.
Robert Miller, yes. So that finding has been around for a while, and the structure that's affected in water is that the bond angle of the OH, oxygen-hydrogen molecule of H2O or HOH, is affected, and that is what resonates or puts out the 8 hertz signal out of water. This is a very interesting sideline. I found a fellow in Israel who is a healer, really quite remarkable, one of the best in Israel, and he found out quite by accident that if he put his hands around a bottle of water and then a patient drank it, they would get the same effect as they would if he personally put his hands on them. So I brought him over to the United States about 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was in fall of '83, and I had very sophisticated lab equipment, which I couldn't lug over to Israel. And I measured his imprinting of the 8 hertz signal on the water, and now I've been observing that water for 2.5 years, and it still retains the 8 hertz signal coming off of it. So that's very exciting stuff.
Well, that's remarkable. You might be interested to know that here in Los Angeles, the Mobius Society just did an experiment with 14 healers treating water.
Yes.
And this experiment was incredibly significant.
Yes.
Like 2,500 to 1 odds.
Yeah, it's the same kind of work exactly.
Yeah, replicating Douglas Dean's work essentially.
Well, I have a new thing for treating water for you.
Yeah?
Brand new. Working with it right now. And we'll get to that in just a second. My guest tonight on the conference line is Dr. Andrija Puharich. So happy to have him back for an encore with us tonight. In studio with me is Alan Vaughn, psychic researcher, psychic himself. Oh, all kinds of things. Author, lecturer. Delighted to have him here. It's Open Mind. I'm an area that's going to require you to have somewhat of an open mind and to lead you along the way. One of the masters in the field. Speaking on our conference line tonight is Dr. Andrija Puharich. And with me in studio is one of the nation's finest psychic researchers and just investigators into all of these wonderful things we like to get into and present to you on the table. This forum, this seminar we have every Saturday night that we call Open Mind. Andrija, I was going to talk to you about some water work for a second. Our good friend John Bedini has developed an interesting new technique of using scalar to develop a new kind of control ring on the magnets. And he has produced a magnet that actually resonates at 10,000 hertz. And we have stuck that little magnet in the spa at home. And now we have to use nothing in there at all. Of course, the crystals were working well, but we don't even have to use the coagulants now. It just throws everything out of the water. Surface tension has been dropped about 60%.
Oh, John, and I think he's a brilliant scientist, and we need more people like him. Got to get his work out.
But you can take any kind of water, just put it in a glass and stick it on top of the standing waves that magnet develops.
Yes.
And it has purified it in a matter of 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it? That's because it acts on the magnetic dipoles or little magnets, every proton in water, which is hydrogen, reacts to that kind of a field.
Well, he is coming from another point of view here on magnetism, Andrija. I don't know whether you are aware of it or not, but he's pretty well convinced that magnetic lines of force are interdimensional.
Yes, I believe that. The
That
fact is, we believe that the kind of waves that we're talking about, like scalar waves to be very precise, have a 9-dimensional characteristic, and that seems to fit in very well with some of the most advanced thinking in modern science, which is what is called string theory. And I think his invention illustrates that very dramatically.
Well, he is certainly pulling energy from somewhere. And he is now convinced. He was perplexed about, he's done it in many different kinds of ways.
Yes.
Where some of it was coming from. And it's pretty well established in his mind and in the research over there at his laboratory that they are attracting really energy from another dimension.
Yes.
Which boggles the mind of a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think we ought to form a society for the protection of John Bedini to keep him going, because he's doing such incredibly advanced work that there are going to be people around who will think, well, we got to get rid of this guy.
Well, that's already being taken care of, and indeed that's those attempts have been made on a couple of occasions, I'm sorry to say.
Yes, we've all had a few little attentions like that focused on us. Bill, would you mind if I mentioned about these 2 seminars I'm giving out in California and L.A. particularly on October 18th and 19th?
Yeah, I'd mind, but go ahead.
Well, I just wanted